What kind of incentives, if any, should they be potentially offered to make them self-deport? I've heard smart people say, we don't want to pay these people anything, but if you calculate what it takes Tom Homan and team, all the agencies you just named, on a per immigrant basis, it's a lot of money that we're expending to go after these guys. What if we could come up with a way to, like, I don't know, I'm just picking a random number, like $2,000 if you return to Guatemala. Here's a big check waiting for you. Get out and get down there, and we'll work with the government to make sure these people get paid. I know it sounds outrageous to pay, but like better just to get them out of the country. And if they could self-deport, it would make it a whole lot easier on you guys. Is that crazy talk?
No, that's been discussed. It's an option. We're looking at what the pros and cons are. But you're right. It would save the taxpayers some money. And there are other things we're helping them get their affairs together, giving a window of 30 days, the non-immigrants, non-criminals to put their affairs together and supply transportation back to their homeland. There's also talk about creating real opportunity zones in those countries. So when they go back, they're going back to a job differently than every other administration, though. We got to make sure the money goes to the right people. This has been done, billions and billions of dollars being sent to these countries to create opportunity zones so that people don't feel like I leave the country, come back. That money doesn't get where it needs to go because of the corruption of government officials and so forth. So that needs to be drilled down on the Department of State. We're talking about this. So what you just said, there's discussions going on. I'm looking at pros and cons and what may work best, but it's not off the table. We're thinking about it.
What do you, how would you describe what our military is doing right now? Because they're not allowed to do law enforcement, but I hear that they can drive trucks at the southern border. They can transport people or things. So how do you see the military helping now? Because finally we have a presidential order commanding that DHS, Department of Homeland Security, and the Department of Defense coordinate to help stop this.
Look, and they should, because I think what's happened on the southern border, and even Christopher Wray, not buddies with by any means, even he agrees with me that the open southern border is the biggest national security vulnerability this nation's ever seen. We know we got over 2 million known gotaways. These people are captured on video, drone traffic, or central traffic. We know they're here. It's not a guess. We got images. Over 2 million people crossed the border and got away. They paid more to get away. They didn't pay the cartels less money, because cartels will charge one fee to get to the border. You see a green uniform, turn yourself in, cartel's jobs ends. But if you want to get away, you want to get to New York, Chicago, or into the United States without being arrested or processed, that costs a hell of a lot more money. So the American people need to ask themselves, why did 2 million people pay more to get away? Why not pay less and get a free airline ticket to the city of your choice, get a free hotel room, get 3 meals a day, get free medical care, and get work authorization within 90, 120 days? Why would you pay more not to take advantage of the giveaway program? Because they don't want to be fingerprinted. They don't want to be vetted. We've arrested, there's been a 3,500% increase in people on terrorist watch lists being arrested at the border. How many?
30, say that again, 3,500% increase in, say it again?
In terror watch list suspects being arrested on the border. Under Trump administration, 4 years, we had 14. There were 400, and that's just the southern border. So this is a huge national security vulnerability. So I think DOD is doing exactly what they should do. It's a national security issue. They need to secure this country and protect our national security. And so I said from day one, they're a great asset, right? Because they can do things that don't require an immigration authority, immigration officer that has a badge and gun. Transportation, for instance, we can take ICE officers who have immigration enforcement authority out of the bus or out of a plane and let DOD do that. That releases more immigration officers to the streets to arrest the bad guy. They can help us with infrastructure. Down there putting concertina wire up and border barriers. They're doing denial of entry. So they're being a great asset. I've done this since 1984. I started in Border Patrol since 1984. This weekend, for the first time in my life, I saw an Army plane, a military plane, removing illegal aliens southbound. That was a beautiful sight, because it says to all of the government is going to increase the national security of this nation and secure that border. Secure border saves lives. Secure border helps increase the level of national security we need in this nation. There's a lot of people in this world who want to hurt us, and securing that border and removing the bad guys is going to help us be more safe.
How dangerous is this work? We saw just this past weekend in, it looks like Frontline, Texas, there was an exchange of gunfire between U.S. Border Patrol agents on Monday. This was near the U.S.-Mexican border. Nobody was actually hit, but these are suspected cartel members. I just can't imagine, and here we have some video, I cannot imagine being the guys who actually have to confront the cartel members to shut this gig down.
It's look, the job's already dangerous. I mean, I was in one shooting in the Border Patrol back in 1987. Only time I ever had to do something like that. Most agents don't get involved in the shooting. But as I've told the White House, it's going to get worse. The criminal cartels of Mexico, no one celebrated the President Biden's election more than they did because they knew they're back in business. They're making a record amount of money in sex trafficking women and children. They're making a record amount of money smuggling aliens. They're making a record amount of money moving dope in the country, especially fentanyl. President just designated them terrorist organizations because he's going to wipe them off the face of the earth just like he did the Caliphate, right? The ISIS. He destroyed them. They need to be destroyed because they've killed more Americans than every terrorist organization in the world combined. They're not going to go away quietly. There's going to be more. We're hitting them where it hurts in the pocketbook. They don't have the money. They can't pay off the Mexican military. They can't pay off the Mexican politicians and the judges and the prosecutors. So taking their money away is angering them. We're going to put them out of business, so they're going to fight. They're going to go down fighting. And they're already got access to military-grade weapons. They have no sense of life and the respect of life. There's going to be more violence on the southern border. So I go to bed every night hoping that the men and women wearing that uniform go home safely to their families. But it's only a matter of time until that violence increases, which means we got to put 100% focus on these cartels to put them out of business, shut them down. Mexico's not going to do it. I know I get in trouble by saying that. Mexico hasn't dealt with them in 3 decades. And it's going to take the United States to put the cartels out of business permanently. So we got to get that done quickly.
Tom, I have to ask you, it's not just Selena Gomez. I know you've seen the clip of her crying, and she got so much blowback from her fans, her $422 million number of followers on Instagram, that she deleted it. But I really, you're the best person to ask about what she and others like her are missing. She purports to be so concerned about the children who Tom Homan and his team are going to deport. And I honestly, with all fairness to this hysterical person, I really think she's missing the full story. Here's the clip for those of you who haven't seen it.
I just wanted to say that I'm so sorry. All my people are getting attacked. The children. They don't understand. I'm so sorry. I wish I could do something, but I can't. I don't know what to do. I'll try everything, I promise.
What is she missing?
Well, look, she's famous, has a lot of followers. I wish she'd message to Mexico and other countries that this isn't a way to enter the country legally, right? 250,000 Americans dead from fentanyl that comes across that border. I'm sure many fans of hers. 600% increase in sex trafficking of women and children. There are women and children in this nation right now forced into sexual slavery. Some of these children won't survive. So cry for them. Cry for the 250,000 Americans that died from fentanyl. Cry for the families of thousands of families in this nation who had a permanent separation from their children because they were killed by illegal aliens and they buried them. Help us secure the border, save lives. Send a message out. This is not the way to come across the border. Under Joe Biden, a record number of Americans have died because of the open border policy with fentanyl. A record number of aliens have died crossing the border. 4,000. Historic number of people have died crossing this border. So if you want to help, if you want to cry for those who have suffered because of the open border crisis. If you want to save women and children, tell them not to come. Don't put themselves in the arms of criminal cartels, be sexually assaulted, abused, and killed. If you want to cry for the victims of an open border. I've said this 100 times. Open borders kills, I just said it, kills record amount of Americans, record amount of migrants. But you know what? A secure border saves lives. When President Trump had illegal immigration down 90%, when 90% less people were coming, how many women didn't get raped by the cartels? How many children didn't drown in that river? How many Americans didn't die from fentanyl because the border was tight and secure and the border was all on table? How many children weren't found in pornographic movies and sex slavery? How many women weren't forced into sexual slavery at massage parlors throughout this country? How many cartel members didn't make it into this country to spread their poison throughout the nation? Thousands of people died because of open borders. So help us. You got a big platform. Help us save lives. Secure border saves lives. Those who enter the country illegally, they're cheaters. As I said, there's people in this world who are doing the right thing to come to the country the right way. These people are taking a front seat away from people that really deserve to come to this country. Help us to send that message. A secure border saves lives. That's where she should be putting her anger, her sadness, everything else. Help us. We can save lives together.
Tom, we watched you at a hearing. It happened years ago across from Representative Chuy Garcia, who was taking issue with your tough on the border approach and suggesting you had no heart, and actually asked you, have you ever held a child in your arms, a young child? And you told a terrible story about how indeed you had firsthand. You used to be a Border Patrol agent. You were on the front lines doing this work as an agent. And I couldn't help but think of that 5-year-old boy when I saw her crying for her people. I mean, people, meantime, are pointing out online, like Evita Duffy Alfonso, who comes on the show. Selena Gomez is half Italian. She has a Mexican father who wasn't in the picture. And she says her Spanish is terrible. What does she mean, my people? I don't know what her people are. But if she's talking about her people from Latin America, from Central America, you've had experience with what happens to those people as they try to cross this border in the most harrowing of circumstances. And so far, no tears for little boys like that 5-year-old.
Well, I shed plenty of tears on that incident. That incident changed me forever. And I've held many dying children. I've held adult children. I've talked to little girls as young as 9. When you get on your knees, you talk to a little girl at 9 years old that was raped multiple times by a member of the cartel, and you look in her eyes and everything innocent and pure. Everything innocent and pure in her life has been stolen, and her life will never be the same. That's why that's why I fight so hard. People, while you and I are talking right now, Megyn, women are being raped by members of the cartels as part of the people crossing that border. A child will die on the border tonight. So, I take this job seriously because of what I've seen in my 34 years. And for the folks out there that hate me, if you wore my shoes for 34 years, you'd understand the passion. You'd understand why I think a secure border saves lives.
We continue to face uncertainty when it comes to the economy, with a perfect storm brewing as Social Security and Medicare hit a breaking point as the largest generation is hitting retirement. A smaller workforce means a smaller tax base. You pair that with our growing national debt and the rising cost of living, and we could have a very big problem on our hands. So what are you doing right now to protect your family for the future? Gold can be a very safe haven in very hard economic times, and Birch Gold makes it easy to diversify a portion of your savings into physical gold. Birch Gold will help you transition an existing IRA or 401k in whole or in part into an IRA in gold. And it won't cost you one penny, not one, out of pocket. Protect your future today. Text MK to 989898 and get your free info kit on gold and a copy of The Ultimate Guide for Gold in the Trump Era with a foreword by Donald Trump Jr. There's no obligation, just information. Birch Gold has earned the trust of countless Americans looking to safeguard their savings. Text my initials, MK, to the number 989898 today. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.